Well, puppers, welcome to another special Pupcorn Movies. Today we're talking about Stranger Things Season 4.
Yes. I was very apprehensive about Season 4.
So, a little brief history. Season 1 for me, I loved it. Proof of concept.
Yeah, same.
I love the characters.
I thought that it was interesting.
How it was simple but engaging.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Stephen King's It. And then lo and behold, a few years later, they remake Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
Season 2. I thought it was so much better with the exception of one episode.
Where, like, Elle goes on, like, her little X-Men escapade.
I still don't know what the fuck that was all about.
I guess she's...
But it is by far the worst episode in the series.
Yeah.
We get to Season 3, and I start getting some mixed feelings.
Yeah,
I start actually considering maybe this would have been better as, like, an anthology.
Yeah. What I was worried about was the inclusion of, like, the whole Russian side plot, first of all. And it's like, I get it for the year. You know, it's the mid-'80s. Like, that was a huge thing during that time frame. But I like, didn't like as much of an emphasis as they had on it.
I didn't like that. And I didn't like the Hopper and Joy, will they, won't they? Joyce, I'm sorry.
Joy.
Yeah,
I'm not big on romance in general. Shocker, I know. But, like, it just felt awkward and forced with them. You know, it didn't feel natural.
And then we get to Season 4.
Yes.
And personally, I think this might be the strongest season
This is the best
yet.
one, yeah.
The best one.
Absolutely.
Like, it...
just to kind of, like...
Because Season 2 has one episode that I absolutely despise, whereas this did not have that.
Again,
so I think by default, it's the better season.
Season 1, it was fun. You know, they made it a really cool way to turn, like, a nerdy board game that has kind of a negative connotation of, like, Dungeons and Dragons into something that is relatable for more than just the people that play Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
So it's like, I've never played the game before. You have. I didn't know what a Demogorgon was until I watched Stranger Things. And then it kind of introduced me to, like, this is more than just, like, nerds sitting in a basement being weird. Like, it's an actual imaginative process that I greatly respect, especially now after watching Stranger Things. It sounds really cheesy and corny, but I just think that it was a really neat way to kind of include people that don't play the game into the world of those that do.
One of the things I really liked about Stranger Things, especially from the get-go, was I felt like it was a believable world of the 80s. And not just, know this reference? Know that reference?
Yeah, it wasn't...
Hey!
It wasn't all just
I know that.
Little Easter eggs of, like, you know... The one thing that modern 80s movies do that really annoy me are the colors.
Okay.
Like, everything is neon or pastel, and, like, the 80s was very brown. Everything was brown. Furniture was brown. The walls were brown. Like, it was very, like, brown, green, and yellow were huge, because just coming out of the 70s, like, those were really popular colors. So I like that they didn't just, like, everything was pastel pink and baby blue and, like, headbands everywhere. Like, it did feel like I was looking at pictures of my parents from the 80s.
So in regards to Season 4, even though it's my favorite season, do you want me to start negative or positive?
I think that we should kind of get the negatives out of the way and
get the negatives out of the way? Okay. So the whole, like, Russian subplot is still here.
Yeah, I still don't like it.
And I am still of the opinion that Hopper should have died at the end of Season 3.
I like Hopper. There was
that closure and that loss. I like Hopper. A character dying doesn't mean I'm not allowed to like them. There is so much power to killing off a character and respecting them.
And leaving them dead.
We have this problem now where characters just constantly come back, that there is no weight.
Yeah.
There are no stakes.
As soon as someone dies, you're like, it's cool, they'll be back. It's the supernatural complex.
Characters that die, they're not developed. Like, even in this season, like, most of the characters that actually died weren't developed. The ones that came close to dying and were threatened, nothing happened. Yeah. It's like very Game of Thrones-like later in the seasons, to where you're just like, oh, I'm worried, maybe I shouldn't be worried about anybody.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not a fan of the Russian side plot just because, despite everything going on in, like, the political climate right now, I'm just kind of over the commonly vilified nations.
Yeah.
Again, despite the climate of what is going on now. But at the same time, it's just like, it felt like filler.
It does feel like filler.
Where, like, how did he get to Russia? We don't know. Why are they harboring a Demigorgon and the Russian compound? We don't know. Like, there's so many open-ended questions that I feel are unnecessary to the grander scheme of this season that it almost is just like they have an hour and 20 minutes to fill out, oh, okay, let's, like, go to Russia for a minute.
Because there were quite a few times, like, despite loving most of what was going on in this season, when we go to Russia, I'd go...
Yeah. Would be like, all right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. All right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
grab
just like-
water. Like, it wasn't as exciting as everything else going on.
Whereas this series developed some characters that were lacking development in past seasons.
Max
This series,
is a big one.
Introduced new characters that are now
Yeah.
new favorites, like Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie is great.
You can't not. Like, as soon as he was introduced, I was like, why do I like this guy? It's the same with
I was just
Argyle.
like, please don't be a stereotypical villain. Please, oh God, don't be.
Yeah. Is it Argyle?
Which one?
With the real long hair. The pizza driver.
Oh, yeah.
I think his name is Argyle.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
Will's brother's best friend who's
Yeah.
just like a stoner who works at a pizza shop. I enjoy him so
Yeah,
much.
he's pretty enjoyable.
I feel like he's the character that is the normal one. Like, if you or I were just tossed into this situation, like, we wouldn't be like, all right, let's get shit done. We'd be like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, and he's that character that, like, panics and freaks out and has, like, a real, genuine reaction to things. Whereas everyone else is like, we've done this before. It's fine. Calm down.
Yeah.
So I just really like the contrast. It kind of reminds you that, like, they are in, like, a modern world. That this is actually happening in a non-fantasy realm or anything like that. So it kind of brings back someone who is unfamiliar with these crazy events that are happening. So I just really appreciate that.
Yeah. Another point I really like is we're growing with these characters.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is the strength of not being an anthology series.
Yeah.
Is we're growing with these characters.
They're in high school now.
And these characters still got those acting chops.
Yeah.
Dustin's still entertaining. Max is very endearing.
Yeah.
And, like, you're not
Will
sure.
is, like, relatable.
Will is relatable, yeah. Mike is relatable, even though I wanted to punch him
Oh,
on a
yeah.
couple occasions.
I feel like
I'm just like, you idiot, what are you
They
doing?
are so, like, they're all relatable in such a unique and different way for each one of them. So, like, you have Will that's just, like, the third wheel. And it's
Yes.
like, I know you have been and I have been the third wheel, where it's like, starting in middle school, your best friend gets their first significant other and they're like, oh, well, it's not going to affect our friendship at all. And then you're just, like, sitting in the back, like...
Yeah.
So it's really relatable to, like, watch how Will reacts, but it's also relatable to watch how everyone else reacts to the situations that they're in, of, like, the awkwardness of Max and...
Her boyfriend?
Yeah.
Is it Lucas?
Lucas. I'm terrible with names, I'm sorry. But, like, how they react, and it's just, like... It feels very realistic.
Yeah, well, that's what's heartbreaking, especially for Lucas, is he's trying so hard to, like, branch out from,
Yeah.
like, what he was.
I think
in the
he's
past couple
definitely one of the
seasons.
stars of this part of the season, at
Yeah.
least, where it's like you really see him being put into a position that you can understand. Like,
Definitely.
he's a nerd and he is...
But he doesn't
you
have
know,
to be.
He's a nerd with all of his friends and stuff like that, and then he has this opportunity and this chance to not be a nerd and to be considered part of the cool kids and to be respected in the grand scheme of, like, high school.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what does he do?
Yeah.
So, and it's like, to me, that's a very fantasy realm. I'm like, dude, just do both. Like, who gives a shit? And then I realized, like, well, it's the 80s, and I understand it's a different climate. Like, you're either a nerd or you're a jock. You're not both.
Yeah.
That's way more of, like, a modern thing where it's like, cool to be both.
Okay.
Where you can be a nerd and a jock, but like then you couldn't.
No.
At least in movie.
It was
the
taboo.
world of movies.
In Hollywood 80s, that is taboo.
So it's just interesting to see him try to remain loyal to his friends, but also stay a cool kid. And I really enjoy his acting because it feels very natural. Like, I feel like they did just like pluck him out and they're like, we're gonna film you for a little bit, and he's just some kid, you know, where it's like his reactions, his facial expressions to me, they remind me of like my brother.
Yeah. Then we got the older characters that they're still killing it.
Yeah.
Nancy, smart and quick as a whip.
Yeah.
Robin, oh my god,
she's grown a lot.
She's a bit of a spaz, but she's funny.
Yeah.
And like she's trying to
There's
communicate her feelings.
There's a scene where her and Nancy are in the library, and when we were watching it, I just looked at you and I was like, how is it I am both Nancy and Robin in this exact moment? Where Nancy's like trying to do research and find things out, and Robin is like, if I'm annoying you, just tell me that I'm annoying you and I'll stop. And I get really nervous and I talk sometimes, and sometimes I talk too much because I'm nervous, and Nancy's just like, shut up. And I'm like, wow, I'm both of those at any given moment in time.
I just like the dynamic that Robin and Steve have.
Yes, they're best friends, and it's heartwarming.
It is very sweet. The character that I think needs to just develop a little more, and we need more screen time with him, who is very prominent in past seasons, but he's kind of just like along for the ride, is Will's brother, I want to say Jonathan.
Yes. Yeah.
He's kind of put to the wayside, back burner right here.
I feel like the few moments that he does have show where he's at.
Okay.
Because it's like, and spoilers up ahead, so if you haven't watched it, we're getting into some spoilers here.
Alrighty.
But he's now moved across the country, so he's away from Nancy. He's a stoner now.
Yes.
So, like, he went from being, like, this smart kid who is kind of nerdy and kind of weird and, you know, to being a stoner.
Socially awkward, yep.
Yeah, so he's kind of, like, found his rhythm in the stoner community, and he is starting to fall away from Nancy in the sense, like, he doesn't want to go to the same college as her. He doesn't want to hold her back. He doesn't, like, it's almost like he's being the tragic hero, where it's like he could go to the same school and be unhappy for himself, but he doesn't want to tell Nancy that he doesn't want to go to the same school as her because he knows that she'll leave her dreams to go be with him. So he's like kind of stuck in this weird personal space of like, what does he do?
Yeah. So he's kind of winging it.
Yeah, but he's also put in charge of these 3 children.
Yeah.
So it's like, because Joyce goes to Russia, just because.
No, because someone sent her a letter,
and she
Hopper's
just like
alive. So she's just up and leaves.
I know, and I'm like, okay, random, you just up and leave your 3 children. That's fine. Just it's the 80s, I guess.
Even though like it took her forever to get separated by Will.
Yeah.
To separate from Will in like seasons 2 and 3, especially after
she just
what
like
happened
wouldn't
in
leave
season
him
1.
alone, and now she's like, oh, you're fine, I'm going to Russia. So, but Jonathan is now in this, like, weird spot where he's a brother, he's a boyfriend, he's a parent, and he's a stoner all at the same time, and it's just like, what? So I can see, like, there's a lot to unpack there.
Got you.
So I think that it's unimportant for what he's doing right now to unpack that in this part. Hopefully in the next season we get to see the next half.
Like the next half of this season,
Part B.
These were some long ass episodes.
Yeah. They were all a little over an hour.
And we need to talk about our final character before we get into the story, which is Eleven, or Elle.
Yeah. Or Jane.
Who is in denial of how shit her life is right now.
I feel so bad for her because she knows that she's different, and she knows that she doesn't fit in, and she's lying about it, saying that everything's great and she has all these new friends and she's doing really well in school. And then we see her and she like has no friends. Everyone makes fun of her. Like, she's not doing awesome in school. She's getting poor grades.
Will like, kind of supports her, but he doesn't stick up for her. He's scared shitless himself. He's like,
he like comforts her after the fact, but he's not like, hey, stop making fun of my sister. Like, you know, he's just like, oh shit, not again.
And we'll get to this point in a little bit because there's a particular scene where Elle reunites with Mike.
Yeah.
Like, it's all happy. And we have this bully, this obnoxious...
Oh, I was so...
Ooh.
She gets hit in the face, and I was like, I hope in this universe she is permanently disfigured. Like, not the actress. I'm sure she's a wonderful girl.
Yeah.
But, like, in this universe.
But, like, her name is Angela, and, like, she talks smack. Her and the other guys are, like,
she's, like,
destroying
the
Elle's stuff.
stereotypical bully
Yeah.
of, like, oh, you have to pick a hero. And then Elle picks her dad, Hopper, who she believes is dead, as her hero. And, of course, like, she can't divulge why she thinks he's a hero. And, like, this Angela girl is like, it's supposed to be someone famous. Like, oh, your dad's dead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to hit her in the face with a skate.
All right,
like,
so...
she's a well-crafted villain for this.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a
I
scene
already
at
said
the
spoilers.
roller rink where they just make fun of Elle, and
Yeah.
Mike and Will are just watching, and I'm just like, do something.
Mike does eventually try to stop it. Like, he tries to get them to shut the music off because he can't roller skate.
Right.
So it's like he can't run out onto the rink and, like, pull her off because he can't skate. Like, he
Right.
Isn't good at skating. So he at least tries to, like, shut the music off. But then he also, like, yeah, I just feel like, why would you wait so long to try and
I was
help
mad
her?
at both of them. I was like, someone either punch one of the guys. Don't punch Angela, obviously. But
I'd
punch one of the
Angela.
other guys. Or get Elle out of that situation.
Yeah. And they do just kind of, like,
And then, like,
for
Elle
long
reacts.
enough, yeah.
And Will and Mike are like, what did you do that for? I'm like, you've been with this girl for
My-
like 3 seasons. You
My
know what
abs-
she's capable of.
my absolute
Why are you
favorite, though.
surprised?
My absolute favorite, though, is all the people standing in the background that just watched her get humiliated.
Yes.
And, like, she had a smoothie thrown on her. They're making fun of her. Like, they all watched this. And then
Yeah.
when Elle does retaliate and hit this girl, they're all like, oh my God, why would she do that? Why?
Uh-huh.
How could she do such a thing? Like, oh my God. And I'm like, you didn't just watch her get humiliated.
Yeah.
You know? That's not, like, I was like, you go, girl.
And because of her retaliation,
Mm-hmm.
she gets sent to juvie.
Yes. I did have to explain that that's not how juvie actually works.
Right.
Like, the police aren't coming to your house and putting you in handcuffs and
But it effectively progresses the
it
plot,
takes things forward.
which for the rest of the series, the season, all Mike and Will are doing is trying to free Elle.
Yeah, they're just trying
whereas
to get her.
Elle's getting involved in, like, the bigger picture of this entire series.
Yes.
Because Papa returns.
Yeah,
I don't know how
Papa's
the fuck
back.
he survived an attack from the Demogorgons.
I know, we actually looked it up, and they were like, well, you never actually see him die. And I'm like, he was attacked by a Demogorgon.
Like, it jumps on him. What did it do?
Like-
Go, oh, sorry, Dad.
I know, like, oops, you're Papa. I'm out of here.
Is it like when a pit bull jumps on you and growls and then licks you, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Well, you're attacked by a shark, and it just bites you because it doesn't know what you are, and then it
Yeah,
lets
and
you
then
go.
it just swims away. That's probably what happened to Papa.
Yeah, I mean, you can make your own speculations. If you have any fun theories, let us know. Because
But she's
I'm
sent
all
to a
about
new
it.
facility to get her
Yes.
powers back.
Which I think is really an interesting thing that they're doing, because it really fills out her childhood, and it makes you feel differently about her in the beginning. Because, again, huge spoilers, but it makes you think that Elle kills everyone. Because they're slowly giving her memories back. And I think it was really neat how they did it, because sometimes when she walks past the mirror or something, you see, like, the smaller her, her as a child. So you know that she's in the past. And even, like, when they show camera footage, the dates are different. It's in 1979 when we know that they're in 1986. So you know that you're in her past. And I think that it's really neat the way that they slowly give you information that makes you think a certain way. And then it comes out that that's not what actually happened.
Yeah.
So I think that that was really clever and a really interesting storytelling technique that,
Oh, yeah. It
I
was
absolutely
very
love.
clever how it, like, kind of, like, just crumbed
yeah.
the little story bits and, like, kept you watching and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And, like, had all ties into the biggest picture. Because, So what's our big threat this season? We had
Yes.
the Demogorgon, which was just
Angela.
a
No,
little
I'm just kidding.
beastie in season 1.
Yeah.
Demogorgons
In
summoned
season
by the
2.
Mind Flayer in season 2.
And then the actual Mind
the
Flayer
Mind
in season
Flayer
3.
in season 3, which that's still my favorite bit in season 3
Yeah.
when it communicates with Elle.
Through Billy.
Yeah.
And he's crying. It's
That is
so
an
good.
excellent scene.
So good.
So in season 4, they gotta quit playing fucking D&D.
I know. You'd think they'd learn.
Giving the enemies new ideas.
Yeah.
But we got Vecna.
Vecna? Vecna.
Yes.
Okay.
Vecna.
Which
Who looks like a character out of Resident Evil #1.
I love it. I love it. I think that I really love how true they are to 80s horror.
Yes.
So Vecna is a guy in a suit. He's wearing a monster suit, and they use minimal CGI to like make his little tentacle things move.
Yep.
But for the most part, he's creepy as shit. Like
He is.
he doesn't look like Chupacabra, where I'm like, why does he have human eyes? And
Right.
you're like, 'cause he's some guy in a suit.
Exactly.
Like he looks scary.
He's
just-
intimidating, and he's the appropriate like next level for an antagonist in
Yes.
this show.
and-
Because he has that element of human in him. But he
Yeah.
also has like that similarity to like Michael Myers, to where like they're running and like
you
they're
can't
trying
escape
to
him.
fight.
He's
and
like,
he's just like
"It's
taking
cool,
his
I'll get
sweet
you."
time, and he'll get them.
Oh yeah, he'll get you. But I love the twisting that they did, which I called it.
You did.
There
call it.
there was a moment, I think we were in the second to last episode, and I was like, I have a theory, and I paused it, and I like told you my theory.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, let's see, and I like hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
And I was really excited about it because that means that I caught the clues that they were dropping.
Yeah.
Which.
Because I caught some of them, not all of them.
Yeah, I just adored how they did that. Like,
Yeah.
And they were such small hints too that most people like I don't think were intended to catch it.
There were some that they were like the clock. Like
Yeah.
you see the clock, that means you're about to die. There's
Yeah.
some significance
absolutely.
to this clock.
But whenever we're going into the flashback with the father, I can't remember his name.
I only know he's played by Robert Englund.
Yes, which I love. I'm like, oh, it's Freddy. But he was explaining what happened because he was put into an insane asylum for killing his whole family, and he said he didn't do it, that the house was possessed by a demon, and he tried to get rid of it, and it just wasn't working, and then his whole family died.
Because that's another theme of this series, is that like people are being framed.
Yeah.
Because like Eddie is being framed for
Yeah,
the murders
there's-
that are happening in this school, in this
other
neighborhood.
like the other seasons, there really wasn't like a villain in the real world. Like there were the people that knew who the real villain was, but there wasn't someone out there being like, it was him. Like there were no real people that were being framed or
I think
trying to be caught.
you could push that it was like Elle.
Yeah, I think she's the only one, and it was strictly the government was trying to find her.
Yes.
But in this one, there are classmates and actual human beings being framed for these murders, and I think that really adds like next level for the villain as well, because he knows that. He's just like, yeah, I'm not taking responsibility.
Well, we have so many degrees of villains. Like
Yeah.
we have the monster Vecna. We have the Russian subplot doing
whatever
whatever the fuck
they're
they want.
doing.
Take over the world. Aha. But we also have like this psycho basketball.
I know the basketball star that's just like,
Yeah.
we'll take care of him, and he's just running around beating the shit out of everyone.
And he's slowly losing his mind because his girlfriend
Was the first
victim.
So
Yeah.
it's like, it's really well done with the villainy, but kind of going back to what I was saying with Englund's character, in his flashback, when he's describing the death of his family, his wife dies first, and then he like goes into a trance, which is common for the demon character. All these people who are dying first, they go into a trance and they can't be woken up. And he goes into the trance, and when he wakes up, his daughter's dead. And then he says his son Henry was in a coma and died in the hospital a few weeks later. So that was my first hint as to who Vecna was, because why would a demon kill everyone except the son.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so it's got to be the son. And then they keep flashing back to Elle when she was Jane being taken away from her mother.
Yes.
She's in the hospital and they take her mother away from her. So I'm like, this kid is in the hospital and he dies.
Mm-hmm.
But there are no witnesses. Like, his family's dead. His dad is in prison. Like, so just like little things like that all falling together. The years and in Elle's flashback, they decide to film a certain scene where you're looking through a camera and it has the date.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put a date unless it was significant.
Right.
So
like some big shit went down on this day.
Yeah, so it's just like all these little clues and hints and things that characters are saying, like whenever the one ward in the Rainbow Room that's trying to help Elle, and he's saying like, oh, well, you know, number one, and you and I aren't so different, and all these things, and I'm like, So it's just like all of these little hints and things falling together.
That actor
it's just,
sold the twist.
I love him
His
so much. He's really good.
Brought it all full circle.
Yeah.
If he would have flopped on this, it would have went from this is the best twist.
It was a very fine line, but he did so good. I can't remember his name. He was in The Mortal Instruments. He played Jace in the movies. He was in Sweeney Todd.
Yep.
He played the younger love interest.
I'm going to take a guess, and I could be wrong, so I'll just correct it with like subtitles, like Jamie Campbell Bower or something like that.
Yes. Jamie, okay. But yeah, he did. I feel like he's such a better villain than he is a hero, because I didn't much care for him in some of the other movies that I've seen him in, but this one I was like spot on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this part was written for you or like you just nailed it. So good.
It has me all the more excited going forward because like his motives
number
are
one.
Understandable. Yeah. He was number one.
I said that so much watching part A here. But yeah, he was number one, just like how Elle is number 11. So he was like the first patient zero, patient one of this program.
Well, he like had those powers before like he even went into the facility.
Yeah.
And so like he's the whole reason the whole project is the way it is.
And they actually put like a mechanism in his neck that like subdues his powers. It's a tracker, so if he ever leaves, they know where he's at. Like something's up. Like,
but he manipulates Elle to get it out.
Yeah, to taking out his tracker, and then he's the one that kills everyone.
Yeah. And
then she gets so emotional, rightfully so, like her entire existence was just murdered, that she rips a hole in the dimensions and sends him to the Upside Down, and he then becomes Vecna.
Yeah. You were just like,
I called it! I was so excited. I was like, I bet that the son is that guy, and that guy is number one, and he is Vecna.
Because, like, I just thought, okay, that guy is number one.
Yeah.
And he is Vecna. I remove the boy from that entire equation.
And it was mainly because of the dates. Because whenever Robin and Nancy go to the library and they're like, oh, this, Robin is like, this happened in like the 50s. And Nancy was like, I mean, it was only 1959. Like, again, the significance of the scripting was so magnificently done. It was just like all of those delicate little hints that were just like so good. Because you see in the camera, it's 1979. That's a 20-year difference. This kid was like a young child, probably like 7, 8, I would say. And it fits for number one for his age.
Yes.
And I was like doing the math in my head. Like, I was just really excited.
So before we give our rating, are there any final thoughts you have? Something we left out? Because like there was a lot that happened. And, we don't want to talk about the entire show the way we talked about the entire Sonic movie.
We want you to watch it.
Even though we spoiled the biggest plot point.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it and I just spoiled everything for you.
I'm going to have
it's your fault because I told you.
We're going to have time codes. So it's going to be like skip here. If you want to avoid like the big twist and stuff, I'll fix that in post.
Fix it in post.
We'll do it in post.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
For me, this series, this season especially, is part of the family.
Oh yeah. Like, I think that this is the best one yet.
Yep.
Just, again, the writing, the characters, everyone has just evolved so much. And the growth of everyone, and the fact that, like, the Mind Flayer is still there, but it's no longer the main focus, but it doesn't feel... like, it still connects. It still connects to the first 3 seasons. It's not like everything was wrapped up real nice with a bow, and then they're just trying to continue it. It feels like a natural continuation of the story.
Well, that's, like, one of my many questions, along with, like, how the fuck is Papa still alive?
Yeah.
But what connection does Vecna have to the Mind Flayer and the Demogorgons? And is that connection going to be to Russia, to where this has a fucking point?
Yeah, I'm very curious about the Russian side plot. If it doesn't go anywhere, I think that's, like... It's not going to be a make or break, because I definitely think for this season, for me personally, the goods way outweigh the bad.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because I just think, like, the Russian side plot for me was, like...
Whereas for, like, Season 3, it was 50-50. By the way, because I mentioned Season 3, there was another thing in this season that Season 3 had that was a little more tolerable. And that is Lucas's little sister.
Yeah.
She was egregious in Season 3. Whereas
wanted her
in
to
this
die.
season, she just had just some moments where I was just like, all right, that's fine.
There was really only one
Couple
moment.
quips, and it was just
There's
like,
only
whatever.
one moment with her so far where I'm like, fucking go away. And it's like, they're hiding from the police. They're trying to, like, get out of being arrested for something that they didn't do without telling them about the Upside Down and everything that's really going on.
Yeah.
And she's standing there, and she's just like, tell the truth. That's not what happened. And I'm just like, can you just shut the fuck up for, like, 5 minutes? Just go to your room and play with a Barbie or something. Like, just annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like how she was included in the beginning, and they were like, we're not going to play with a little kid. We're not going to play with a little kid. And she's like, I'm an 11th level cleric, or like something like that. And they're like, oh shit, welcome to the team. Like, I was like, okay, that was fun. That was neat that she's like the nerd as well.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, puppers, did you guys see Stranger Things Season 4? What did you think? Let us know, and are you excited for Part 2? We are, so we'll see you all again in July.
Toodles!